Amazing Workflow is an area of the software that your administrator can actually set up for you, the salesperson, and that workflow will help you to trigger actions in the database, such as schedule a phone call, send an email. But before we get to that workflow, you may start from a new lead. So you might want to qualify the lead, and then you may want to, in the process of qualification, ask some questions. But as a salesperson, you may want to have some guidance and coaching on what question am I supposed to ask so that you have consistency. Because all salespeople do their own thing and they do it in the different ways. However, we need to have consistency. So this coaching tool called Dialogue and Workflow helps the salesperson bring consistent data which later I can use to report on. You with me so far? Would you like to see the workflow and the dialogues? All right, let's get started. So I'm starting with a lead, and we're going to pick Orlando Gee, which is a lead in my database. And by the way, in Microsoft CRM, your leads are separate from your accounts and your contacts. A lead needs to be qualified. So you can actually have lots of leads, but a small database of qualified customer or prospect. You do not put your leads into accounts directly or in contacts. You can, but generally the rule is you put the leads in the leads table, and then you have to qualify them. So you have to migrate that information into the accounts and the contacts and so forth. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so I've got Orlando, and what I want to do with Orlando is start a little dialogue. So I click on Start Dialogue, and I may have multiple dialogues, but I'm gonna choose Qualified Lead. So I'm clicking on Qualified Lead, and what will happen here is I have this box. Now let's stop for a second and let's look at this box. It may seem trivial, but this is a wonderful feature, because as a salesperson, I do not even have to think what I'm going to say or figure out with the customer. I'm going to be asked, have you validated this account? So it's a yes or a no. Now, if it's a yes, you can branch into more questions. If it's a no, you may have some fields right here that you'd like to customize further. That's for the administrators to do. But if it's yes, and we're going to choose yes, you click Next. Is this person the decision maker? Yes or no? Below, it will ask you what product are they interested and what is their budget. What I'm actually doing here is take away all the fields from CRM, all the clutter. I bring it into a window, and when I go next and close this, you will now see that information I put in those 3 fields inside my CRM, so it's consistent and it's there. Does that make sense? So that's the power of the dialogue. Now, the good thing is I can now see my data. Again, it's consistent. And my interest and my budget, $250,000 for coffee, not bad then, thank you. And then you can scroll down. You can scroll down. And I say, well, for this lead, I don't think they're warm anymore. I think they're pretty hot. So I'm going to move this from warm to hot. So I have a hot lead here. Guess what's going to happen next? A workflow. And this is where you have the workflow kicking in. So I have a few questions. Now my workflow is kicking in. And what my workflow will do is, 1, creating an activity to call that person for the next day. So I go to Activities for Orlando, and I refresh. And one thing I wanted to tell you about workflow is that they're asynchronous, so they may not show directly. Dialogue are synchronous. You put the data in there, it shows in the database. A workflow actually is asynchronous. That means it's working on the server before it gets into the database. And then you have in your close activity your email. So this is what you could do if you had your workflow working real time. You would see it right there into your database.